Hello, everyone. Welcome to C-Suite Talks. We speak with industry leaders, introducing you to some of the most interesting people and businesses today. We're focused on women, money, and power, as well as diversity in all areas. Welcome to C-Suite Talks. I'm Beth Hilbing, co-CEO, along with Dianne Gubin. And today we're speaking with Ingrid Hibbard, CEO of Pelangio Exploration, Inc. She was appointed president and CEO of Pelangio Exploration's Mines, which in 1996. She is a mining and securities lawyer, which I find very interesting, with over 25 years of experience in the mining industry. Previously, she was in private practice, having clients ranging from junior explorers to major mining companies such as Norando Mines, Hemlo Gold Mines, and Miss Hibbard was previously the director of Kirkland Lake Gold. And welcome, Ingrid. And is there anything else you'd like to add that maybe I forgot to mention?
Well, I'm on the board of a number of juniors or involved with a number of juniors. One is Mink, which has a nickel property in around Timmins, and one is BG Gold, which has a gold property in northern Canada. And finally, I'm on the advisory committee of Agnico Eagle Gold Mines.
Wow, that's a lot. So how did you kind of gravitate towards gold, or is that just the primary mining mineral that is in your area where you live in Canada?
No, I grew up in Timmins. Timmins is a gold mining center, although we also had a massive zinc mine, but it's been, it started as a gold mining center. So it's kind of in my DNA, I guess, and my parents were in the exploration business, although they did other minerals as well. And, I am involved in some other minerals. Really, it's all about exploration. I think very young. The thrill of exploration and discovery kind of ruined me for any other industry after that. Um, yeah, more about that later. But my father was a private pilot. We flew around looking for projects. It was really exciting.
Oh, wow, that is amazing. So you're the CEO, which is Gold Exploration Company. That's a bit unusual. What does Pelagino do, and
So,
how did it get started?
well, Pelangio actually has been around since 1937, always in gold exploration. And it started in Northern Ontario. And my father got involved probably in the 80s. And then when he passed away. So we're an exploration company, which people don't always think of. They think of mining companies, taking the gold out of the ground. But in fact, somebody has to find it first. Are you okay with the
Got it.
sound?
Yes, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, so what we do is we don't actually operate the mines. We find the resources for the future. And in our case, we find gold mines. So we have actually a system for doing that. We identify and develop high potential gold projects. So exploration is really the foundation of mining. So on average, it takes 16 years from discovery to mine, particularly in North America, where it takes a little longer. So what we do today determines the resources available for tomorrow. And I think what really attracted me to exploration and what Pelangio really does is we create wealth and opportunity. There's a reason why people talk about, hey, it's a gold mine or we found a gold mine. I mean, there's a reason why that's in the lexicon. And our system is designed to take some of the risk out of it. So we identify projects we want to pursue by reviewing the potential risks against the potential rewards to make sure we have the greatest chance of the greatest possible success. We look for great big properties in regions that have already had successful mines. So right away,
Oh,
you're taking some of the risk out. And not only that, with a long history of mining, so that there's good infrastructure and the communities are familiar with and in favor of gold mining and in areas where there's low political risk. So by the time you take those risks out, you've removed a lot of the risk because exploring for gold is risky enough without layering on
right.
anything else.
Yeah.
So Pelangio's biggest success so far has been the Detour project. So that
Okay.
was, back in 1998, we purchased a mine that was closing in Northern Ontario, and we re-envisioned it, took some new technology, a new way of looking at it. It went through some collaboration. This is not something we typically do alone. We work with developers and miners, but it is now Canada's largest gold mine, operated
Oh,
by Agnico Eagle, which is the third largest gold miner in the world. So we do have a track record of success. So we've got a system, we have a track record of success, and our role is really to, find gold, de-risk the projects, attract partners for collaboration, and create wealth and opportunity for our shareholders and for our communities. So let me just delve in a little because I
yes,
think
yes. I was
there's
going to ask you that.
very few people, a lot of people don't know about the exploration side of things and what it takes to find. And, yes, we're in gold, but the process is similar for many other minerals. So once you identify a project that meets our criteria, and, our criteria is meant to reduce some of the risk at the front end, then we begin the process of actually exploring for gold or exploring for the mineral. We do this by sending field crews into the bush or onto the ground to make sure that the area has the right geology, the right rock type, and the right geological environment. And then we use geophysical and geochemical analysis of soil sampling or airborne surveys and, other
Okay.
samples to make sure that the environment is right and to develop targets for drilling. Then we do drilling, which is literally that you take a drill and you drill into the ground to come up with rock samples from the hard rock, up to sometimes, 5, 6, 7, 800 meters underground. And
Okay.
those, and then those samples are then analyzed for gold. And then, after you find a very particularly enticing target, you continue to drill more holes, and all of that analysis gives you a window upon which you can develop a resource estimate. Using all of the samples, you can come up with an estimate of how much gold would be in that area. So that's really what we do. And it creates, even at the exploration stage, we're creating employment in regions that generally doesn't have a lot of employment. You're not going to look for a mine anymore in downtown Denver or downtown New York. So these mines are in
Right.
remoter areas.
Yeah.
Right
And that's
now,
wonderful to be able to do that to the communities and help the communities out.
well, exactly. So, you know, eh, at Detour, which is as far as you can go on a road in Northern Ontario. It's literally the end of the road. We created 2,000 new jobs.
Oh,
So that's significant enough because the capital expense of building a mine, there's a lot of expense as well. So not only is it the 2,000 direct jobs, it's all of the indirect jobs and the business opportunities and the
and the
spin-off
restaurants and all
that
that
comes
stuff.
from that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can literally see the difference in some of the local communities that is a result of the mining industry. In fact, I think you can see the impact of the mining industry in major cities. If you look at some of the hospitals in Toronto or Vancouver, and you look at the names of some of the people who have donated, there's an
Oh,
awful lot of mining money that has been donated into hospitals and infrastructures, even into the big cities, but for sure in the small and remote communities. You make a huge difference to the local community. And that's one of my hobby horses right now, off on another tangent besides what Pelangio does. But we really need the world to understand how important and critical mining is and the difference it can make, the positive impact it can have on people in their lives.
yeah, I know. And some people tend to look at it negatively, but we need those resources, right? And the impact that it has for multiple generations. So it's very interesting because you were a lawyer, a securities lawyer, a mining lawyer. How did your career path lead you to where you are today?
Well, as I think is the case with many people, it was a little bit of a circuitous route, but I can remember, as I said, my parents were in Timmins in the exploration business. And I can remember being in the plane with my dad, flying around. At the time, we were looking for uranium. So he, being kind of forward looking, had bought himself a Geiger counter and would fly around with the Geiger counter in the plane. And the Geiger counter would make kind of this clicking noise when it detected the radiation. So my job, we would be flying around, is when we heard that noise, I was to throw toilet paper out the window. So it would be hanging up in the trees, because in those days, in order to stake a claim, you literally had to go into the bush and um, mark
Your
a square.
territory.
Literally, a guy would have to walk around and mark on the trees or blaze to show his claim. And so the toilet paper hanging in the trees, once we sent the guys in the bush, would help them know, oh, this is where we need to be staking the claim. So again, mining gave us, oh, it's a gold mine, as a saying, and it also gave us stake your claim. So, so, so there's a lot in mining that we've forgotten in the current world. And I think just the excitement of that and the excitement of discovery when you're that young, I was pretty much hooked. But the other side of it was, especially, we're now operating in Ghana, West Africa, so more about that. But in those days, we were, it was in Northern Ontario. And I would fly into the bush with my dad to see the field crews in the bush in tents with
Oh
a wood
no. Uh,
stove drying their smelly socks on the wood stove. And I kind of went, I'm not sure that that's for me.
yeah.
So full marks to all the guys and gals who work in the field, because it's tough, but it's very, very necessary. And so I quickly discovered, I think, that I was, with my mother's help. So both my mother and father worked in the business. And I think that was a bit of a defining factor for me too. There were no gender roles. When my dad
Okay.
was in the field, my mom ran the rest of the business. And if that meant she had to figure out how to drive a field crew out into 200 miles into the bush, she had to figure it out. So I didn't grow up with this idea of gender roles. And she's, she's the one who helped me point out, she says, I think you're more of a negotiator and you're more of a
Oh,
deal person, hence law school.
that's cool. Yeah.
So I went off to law school, and I did. I enjoyed it very much. And I started with a smaller group of companies. I was in-house counsel, and the mining industry is very cyclical. It
Okay.
ebbs and flows. And during one of the ebbs, I realized I was going to be losing my job at this group of
Oh,
junior mining companies that, in fact, my first hint maybe not my first hint, maybe my second hint, the phone got cut off. Now that's a pretty good hint that you could be losing your job.
Right, exactly. The next one is when they board the door.
Exactly. So that's exactly what I did. I said, that's going to be next. So I called up our lawyers and I said, we got to get all the files out of here because I'm pretty sure the bailiff's going to show up. So we just got the files out in time before they changed the locks on the office. So, you learn a lot in your first job. And then I decided I would like to start my own practice. So apparently I did have a bit of an entrepreneurial bent. And I started my own practice. And it was all fun and games setting up your own practice. And I had a young child at home. So I thought starting my own practice would give me much more flexibility, which it did. And, but very quickly you discover, oh, it's great. I've got the office, I've got the stationery, I've got the phone number. Guess what I don't have? Clients.
Those are just little details.
So, I kind of made it a mission and I was oh so lucky. So, very quickly, the biggest mining company in Canada at the time happened to be overloaded with property deals. So they brought
Okay.
me in to help with their overload of contracts. So that kind of made life a whole lot easier. Once you've got a big client like that, that was my cornerstone. And then I could have a number of other juniors, which can't pay as well. But I could keep up my love of the junior sector through that. And so I was happily doing that and did not see myself. I got hired by Hemlo Gold Mines. I joined their management team, but I didn't see myself as CEO.
Okay.
I thought. And then when my father passed away, we were in the middle of sort of a restructuring, and it was an important time in Pelangio's life. We had property near the Detour project, and it was sort of the start of that whole thing. So I thought, I'm going to do this temporarily. Well, that was 1998, so it hasn't been very temporary.
Well, they must love you and the board must love you too, else they wouldn't keep you, right?
So, but it's about pivoting, right? Isn't it for all of us? And
Mm-hmm.
if there's anything, I can kind of say, it's the challenges that turn into opportunities. It was devastating when my father passed away. We were a very close, small family. We'd worked together. But some of the things I've done, I don't know if I would have had the oomph to do them if I hadn't been pushed a little bit by circumstances. So sometimes, the dark things turn into big opportunities.
Big, good opportunities. Yeah, that's good. So I'm going to switch a little bit, talk about technology. And you mentioned to me that the technology companies have really begun making significant investments in mining in order to secure minerals and energies, which you see in the AI space, right? So that's all over the news about how AI is eating up all the energy and building their data centers and everything. So, but in your space, what is driving these investments and how can it help the general population to understand what is the necessity of mining for our way of life?
So it's quite interesting. So Tether has made a massive investment, and I'm not going to say the number, but it's billions. But I might be the exact number would be wrong in gold, and is now investing directly in royalty companies. So isn't that interesting? And
Tether, like TETHER?
yeah, so
Okay.
I'm sort of Bitcoin kind of
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
company, and
Gotcha.
Cobalt has investment from all of the tech titans, and it's an exploration company looking for nickel, copper. The need for energy is astronomical. And again, the exact number is going to elude me, but it's something like 100 times more energy is consumed every time you make an AI search over a Google
Mhm.
search. And already we were worried about particularly in North America, about the energy infrastructure, the need to upgrade and maintain our infrastructure, which will take tons of copper. And now you're overlaying onto that this 100 times bigger need for energy, and that's going to require copper and nickel and uranium probably for the energy itself. And it's there there has been over the last 15 years a dirge of investment onto the exploration side. So unless people, and that I can see them waking up. A year and a half ago, I would have said to you, oh, I think it's a crisis because nobody was paying attention to looking for more. And, the demand was there and supply was drying up. But remember what I said, from discovery to mine can be 17 years. So
Okay.
we really have to get our act in gear. We need, so again, part of my hobby horse, we need the world to know that we need more minerals, and we can't have any of the things that we take for granted now. You and I having this conversation with computers and headphones and
Phones, yeah.
iPhones, and none of that can exist if we don't keep up with looking for the resources that we need to maintain our way of life. So, the mining industry has had a bit of a bad rap, some of it deservedly, maybe. But things have changed so much in the last 20 years. The environmental, the sustainability, the emphasis that goes into all of that is top of mind for anybody starting a mine now. You need the community engagement. You need to make sure of your environmental. You've got to be planning for the closure of the mine from the day you open it to make sure you put it back to basically the way it was or better. So, investment in natural resources and in exploration in particular, you're creating good for the world to find resources we absolutely need. You're creating an opportunity for your investors to have an awesome return when discovery is made. You're creating jobs and business opportunities in remote communities. So it really is a win-win-win-win.
Yeah, no, that totally sounds that. So as you look towards the future, what are you kind of focusing on? What would you tell younger emerging leaders as they look into your field and want to go there? What kind of advice would you give them, I guess is what I was trying to ask.
So, the thing about the mining industry is you don't have to be a scientist. You don't have to be a geologist. You don't have to be a lawyer. It needs all of those things. We need environmentalists. We need accountants. We need nurses for some of the remote sites. So almost any field that you're interested in, there's room for you in the mining industry. And the mining industry pays very, very well. And you can do it and hold your head up high because you are helping the world have the resources it needs to sustain its way of life.
Awesome. That is just awesome. So, Ingrid, where would people find you if they wanted to reach out to you?
So I'm at Pelangio, so you can go to our website, www.pelangio.com or info@pelangio.com. And I'm happy to talk to people who are interested in Pelangio, which is successfully exploring for gold in Ghana right now. And we do have a resource. So we have found a significant amount of gold already, and we're on to the next one. So, our vision at Pelangio is let's find a gold mine so thousands of people can win. and then let's do it again. So, yes, look us up. And I'm on LinkedIn as well. So happy to talk to people, whether you're a student looking for how can I get into the mining industry, or a potential investor, or somebody looking for, jobs in the industry. Happy to chat to you.
And board, because you sit on the 3 boards, so you
Yeah,
definitely can talk about that too.
I can talk about that too. I could talk all day, probably.
So Ingrid also is a C-suite member, and we've had her speak on our Women on Board series. And I was just thinking we might want to revisit that in 2026 and do a duo with you and Michelle Ashby, because she also has been heavily involved with mining. So that might be a good kind
Oh,
of
that'd be
duo
fun.
thing. Yeah, it'd be fun. So we want to thank our sponsors, Con Rusnick, Advisory Assurance and Tax Services, Breakthrough Beverage, City National Bank, Cigna Health, Uncle Nearest, a female-owned whiskey distillery company. And if you're looking for an executive, contact us. We have C-Suite Search. And thank you for listening today. Hit your subscribe button on Apple, Spotify, or everywhere you find your podcasts. And if you would love to hear more about C-Suite, we'd love to hear from you. So send us an email, Beth at csweet.org, and check out our website, www.csweet.org. And thank you again, Ingrid, for being our guest today. We loved having you.
Thank you for having me.